What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. Today, we are talking about the one and only Wolverine, and we're looking at 5 undervalued Wolverine keys to invest in before his MCU debut, which I personally feel is absolutely inevitable. All right, I know there's a lot of Wolverine fans out there. We got to get into these books, but before we do, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please take the time to do so. Check out all the awesome links below as well, including links to today's sponsor, Zoop. I want to thank Zoop for sponsoring this video today. And before we get started into these books, I want to take just 2 minutes to talk about Zoop. What is Zoop? Zoop is a brand new platform redefining crowdfunding. Zoop helps creators bring their projects to life by handling all the business and administrative side of crowdfunding, like campaign management, marketing, printing, and fulfillment. This gives your favorite creators more time to do what they do best, create more high-quality comics. For fans, Zoop makes it easier than ever to support crowdfunding projects. Other sites only let you buy one pre-bundled tier with items that you may not even want. Then you have to wait for an add-on campaign to get the things that you were really looking for. With Zoop, you could pick however many of whatever items that you want and then add them to your cart and check out. It is that easy. Today, we're going to spotlight the campaign Resolution by industry veterans Ron Mars, Andy Lanning, and Rick Leonardi. This legendary trio that has showcased their work on comics such as Green Lantern, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man 2099, and many more are creating a new cosmic saga in a deluxe hardcover format. The campaign is currently 75% funded, but needs your help to reach its goal. There are amazing rewards available in addition to the book. Signatures by all 3 creators. If you're a fan of sketches, take your pick between Rick Leonardi and Andy Lanning. Or if you love original art, you could be the lucky owner of a Resolution cover, a unique Rick Leonardi masterwork. Other active campaigns are Remember Andy Zenon by Ben 10 writer Tom Pinchuk, which is over halfway to its goal with original art and custom commissions available by artist Nikos Koutsis. Zoop also has many more amazing projects to come in the near future, including Corner Man by Ray Anthony Height from Star Wars, Dr. Aphra, and Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur fame, and former Marvel editor Chris Robinson. Sign up to be alerted when that goes live, and go support all the other campaigns today before all of those amazing perks are gone. Links are below in the description for you to take advantage of these awesome prizes and perks. Once again, big thank you to Zoop. Who's all ready to get into some books? We're going to look at these like usual on my channel. We're going to be looking at current fair market value. We're going to be looking at fair market value from 5 years ago. We are going to look at plus, minus, and how much they've increased in value over those 5 years. And those with the higher increase in value are going to be lower on the list. Let's start out with number 5. We got Uncanny X-Men 139. Yes, this is a spec key for Wolverine. Why? Because it's the first appearance of Wolverine's brown suit. Now, there's a plus to this book and why it's already, kind of a hot book. It's Kitty Pryde's first appearance of when she joins the X-Men team. So she officially joins the team in this book, but Wolverine's first brown suit. Here's why I put this book on the list. We were teased in the Fox franchises of Wolverine getting the suitcase with the brown suit in it. As we know, he never even wore the classic blue and yellow suit. He wore black or normal clothes, right? We wanted Wolverine in the suit. Hugh Jackman never wore it. Horrible. So what's really interesting about the brown suit is because we were teased and never got it, I do believe that if Wolverine shows up in the MCU wearing the brown suit, it's going to be like an uproar. It's going to be like, fans are going to go absolutely crazy. And I absolutely think that people are going to be looking at this book. So this is a bit of a fun one, but like I said, you also get that Kitty Pryde spec as well. Numbers, current CGC, 9.8 fair market value, $150. Still a very affordable book. 5 years ago, $65. 5 year plus minus, it's 131% increase. Very solid. Average raw, $25. So what does that mean? That means you take in all the raw sales, you add up the dollar amount, and then you divide it by how many books sold, and you get that rough average. So it doesn't pertain to a specific grade. And what I always like to say is there's some grade of this book out there raw that you could probably find for about 25 bucks. High raw, $75. So again, that doesn't mean a high grade near mint grade. It's just the highest dollar amount sold. I mean, of course, you're probably looking at a higher grade, but this book is still decently affordable. And outside of Wolverine, there's been a lot of spec and a lot of heat put under a lot of these earlier Bronze Age Uncanny books, just because we know the X-Men are going to show up in the MCU. All right, moving on to number 4 on the list. We have Uncanny X-Men 133. Now, this is the first solo Wolverine story, and I know we're talking about books that are undervalued, and I'll always pose the question, what does undervalued mean? You know, a book is on the market, and it sells at what it sells at because it's a fair market value. It's what the market's demanding. Well, the thing that I always look to is that demand changes based on what we know and what we value. And when we know, especially in the MCU era, when a character gets announced or when we see a character in these movies and so forth, we're going to value that character even more, and those demands are going to shoot up. And that's why I feel it is undervalued right now, because the demand, the ceiling for the demand has not even reached its peak. So this book has actually been on fire lately, but I still believe it's undervalued. Crazy, right? Let's look at these numbers. Current CGC 9.6 fair market value, $239. 5 years ago, $82. It's a 191% increase in sales. Average raw sitting about 38, high raw sitting at about 76. Again, decently affordable, but you know, a few months ago, this book was probably about, especially in raw, probably looking at an almost half the cost. Maybe not just a few months ago, maybe going back to 2020. I had been looking at this book and I never pulled the trigger, kind of regretting that I didn't. I still hope to own it one day. But like I said, I know this book has already been steadily increasing in value over the short term. I think a Wolverine announcement in the MCU is going to send this book shooting up even faster. All right, book number 3 on the list. Wolverine number 1, volume 2 is first ongoing title. Okay, I talked about this book and another book. Okay, Wolverine's Next Best Things. Wolverine's first appearance, Hulk 181, first full appearance, is absolutely gone nuts. We know that. His first appearance in Cameo, 180, has been going nuts in its own right, man. That thing, I'm telling you, the Next Best Thing, that book, yeah, it's hard to say that book's affordable. This book is one, and it's a little harder to find in high near mint gray just because of that black cover. Late 80s Copper Age book. Let's look at these numbers though. Current CGC 9.8 fair market value, $543. This book has done major things. 5 years ago, $132. It's a 311% increase. So it's quadrupled plus in value over those 5 years. Average raw is now sitting at about $64, where a high raw sold for $335. Again, I don't know the grade of that sale. I'm going to assume that was a decently high grade and probably a newsstand. We have to take into consideration with these books that this is the late 80s. Newsstands were probably, 20% or less of the market. I believe this came out in 88. So, 20, maybe 25% or even less of the market at that point in time. There is that premium that people are going to pay for those newsstands. So pay attention to that when you're doing your research for this book. If you are in the market, make sure you're paying attention to newsstand or direct. If you see a direct selling for $335 or somewhere around there, try to look for newsstands and see what they're selling for and see if that is accurate for a direct. That's my advice to you all. And let me say, before we get into the last 2 books here, I'm not telling you all to buy these books. I'm here to give you my personal opinion backed up by fact and data. And I want you all to make sound, educated decisions, be patient, collect what you love, understand the risks involved, and be willing to take those risks whenever you make a purchasing and investment decision. All right. Two more books. Number 2, Wolverine. Number 1, the volume 1, the limited series, Wolverine's first solo title. What can I say about this book? If it was up to me, this book would be number 1 on the list, but I'm not basing it on my personal opinions. I'm basing it on increase in value. So there's another book that's been hotter than this one. I've been talking about this book for a couple years now, stating how when Hulk 181 and Giant Size X-Men, even 180 now, even Hulk 180, that cameo appearance. But then you got Giant Size X-Men that's, been shooting through the roof. It's kind of dipped a little lately, but that's normal, ebb and flow on the market. It's going to keep going back up. This is that book. And I've anytime I talk about this book, I talk about how in the beginning of 2020, I talked about how this book was going to be hitting in a 9.8. I believe the fair market value at that point in time was roughly $250 to $300. I said it's just going to, real soon here, this book is going to hit $500. A week later, the book in a 9.8 CGC hit $500. It had its first sale that broke $500. Now we're looking at a 9.8 fair market value, $1,055. This book is on fire. And what have I said? It's still undervalued, in my humble opinion. 5 years ago, fair market value in a CGC 9.8, $185. That is a 5-year increase of 470%. Wow. Average raw is now going for $202, where a high raw sold for $445. Here's the thing. I bought this book back in 2018, and I paid $60, I believe, for a high grade. I sent it off to CGC, and it came back at 9.6, and I thought I overpaid at the time. But boy, am I happy with that decision now, right? And I'm telling you, this is that book. This book is sitting at $1,000 about in a 9.8 CGC fair market value right now. If Wolverine got announced tomorrow, I guarantee, in my humble opinion, that's my guarantee, my personal guarantee, that value is going to double overnight. That is my opinion on this book. I said it. We'll see if it comes to fruition when we do get that announcement or that casting or whatever it is when it comes to Wolverine in the MCU. All right, folks, we have one more book. This book is absolutely hot. Before we talk about that book, though, I do want to remind you all that if you are in need of comic supplies, check out bcwsupplies.com. There is a link in the description below. If you use the code JOURNOS, you receive 10% off of your order, no matter how big or how small that order is. You can use that code as many times as you want to for as many orders. You can use it today, tomorrow, a year from now. It never expires. So again, quick reminder, link below. Go save yourself some money off some awesome BCW comic book supplies. But with that said, are you ready for our number 1 book? It is Marvel Comics presents 72, the beginning of the Weapon X storyline, which begins the origin of Wolverine. Wow. What can I say about this book? So there's 2 ways to look at this book, all right? Let's just look at the numbers before we get into it. Current CGC 9.8 fair market value, $575. 5 years ago, 68. That's a 5-year increase of 744%. Whew. All right, average raw going for about $39, where a high raw just sold for almost $300. Again, early 90s book. I do believe this book came out in 1990. Was it late 90 or early 91? That could have been that could be a newsstand. That could be a newsstand. So buyers beware. If that's a premium sale for a newsstand, I wouldn't recommend paying that much for a direct. But here's the kind of the double-sided blade with this book. This book has been on absolute fire because on one end, everything Wolverine has been hot, and there's been more attention to the fact that it took Marvel over 15 years to provide an origin story for Wolverine. Can you believe that? Over 15 years. And more people are in the know now with this. And they know that this book is out there and they want to demand it because of that. They value what this book has. It's going to drive the price up. But another reason why this book has gone up in value was because of rumor that is completely baseless. There's no fact to it. There's nothing confirmed. There's not even any substantiated rumor that there's going to be a Disney Plus Weapon X origin story show. Now, again, anything can happen with the MCU, and I wouldn't put it past Marvel to do anything. But it's just like the Ghost Rider thing. You know, when it comes to the Midnight Suns, a certain YouTuber came out and said, it's confirmed. Marvel Studios is... No, it has not been confirmed. And then another YouTuber that has, almost 1 million followers, by the name of a Cosmic something or other, that's all I'll say, came out and basically ran with it. And that is negligent, because there's been no confirmation for Midnight Suns. Are there things set in motion for Midnight Suns? Possibly, because we're getting Blade. We're going into the horror genre, so forth. But nothing's been confirmed, and people are purchasing these books and making purchasing and investment decisions based on basically fabricated false statements. And it's just not true. So I look at that for this book, and I want to tell everyone, take the advice, invest in this book with caution. All right. I do believe this book can dip down. I do believe this book can absolutely cool off, especially if nothing comes to fruition with this so-called Disney Plus show that is baseless rumors, and it stagnates for us to get to the X-Men in the MCU. And we already know that Kevin Feige isn't going to rush into it, so it could be some years now. This book can cool off, it could drop in value, and that may be a good time to invest in it, because guess what? This is still the #1 book on 5 books that I labeled undervalued. So here's the other side of that blade. I do believe that this book can surpass what it's going for now, if we get a confirmation of Wolverine, and if Wolverine's presence in Marvel Studios and the MCU even talks about his Weapon X origin story. Woo! That's when this book can not only come back up to where it's at right now, but it can continue to surpass that long term, especially in high grade newsstand. So everyone, that's my 5 Wolverine picks for today. Before I go, a couple things. I'm going to give a big shout out to all the members of my channel, but I also want to let all my viewers know, thank you all for watching, but don't leave without commenting below. I want to hear your thoughts. What did you think about the books on this list? How many do you have? Are you in the hunt for any of these books? And what other, Wolverine books, preferably sleeper books, ones that don't have a lot of heat on them, that have a lot of, room for growth. What books do you think could have been on this list as well? I want to hear from you in the comments below. But before we go, big shout out to all of my Patreon members. Again, thank you all so much for the continued support. I will be announcing a Patreon winner of the month of July's contest, probably at the end of this week. Thank you all so much. If any of you watching are interested in becoming a Patreon member for only $3.99 a month, that link is below as well. You get extra perks, early access, entries into my Patreon only contest, and of course extra entries into my YouTube contest, aka subscriber contest, coming up real soon. Thank you all though so much. Appreciate you month in and month out. Also, a big shout out to my YouTube members. That's only $1.99 a month, and if you're interested, folks, hit that join button below to get all the details. Again, you do get extra perks as well. Big shout out to Blackout Comics for winning my July member contest. Please get in touch with me. So we can get you your prize. But again, to all of my members, the support month after month means so much to me. It is the reason why I can continue to do this for you guys 7 days a week. And with that being said, I want to say thank you to today's sponsor, Zoop. One more time, check out the links below, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. Be well, and until next time.